Once upon a time on top of the clouds, there was a lonely giant whose name was Gerald. And Gerald collected forgotten things. So he had a shoe that had been lost in the storm, teacups from when Amelia Earhart flew through his cloud-collecting hats, umbrellas, all sorts of stuff. But mostly he liked collecting teacups. He would stack them up so high until he could pretend that he was drinking from the bottom of the sea. Then when the wind came by, whoosh, it would scatter everything again. And then he'd have to start over. But sometimes when he was stacking, a little girl named Lily would float past on her red kite, and she would see Gerald and his tower of teacups, and she would think to herself, gee, I wish I could be up here playing with Gerald. But when she tried to get close, the wind would blow her away. Whoosh, right back down to earth, and she would sigh, wave goodbye to Gerald, and float away. Now, one day, Lily got a brand new kite. It was bright blue, and it floated her, oh, so high up into the sky. She was actually higher than she had ever been before. And she thought to herself, perfect, now I can finally go say hello to Gerald. But then as she got closer, she saw something strange. Gerald wasn't collecting teacups. He was building a wall out of them. Oh my goodness, thought Lily. What if the wall blocks out the sun? What if he's making a prison for the clouds? Maybe he's trying to steal the sky. And then she started to cry. And as she cried, her blue kite started to shrink and shrink and shrink until it became just a tiny little thing. And she floated all the way down to earth. She walked into her house. Without even saying goodbye to her mom, ran up to her room and jumped onto her bed and buried her face in her pillow. I don't want to play with Gerald anymore, she said. If he wants to block out the sun, then I'm going to block out the sun. So she went to the closet and pulled out her favorite dress. It was pink and sparkly and twirly, and she put it on, and then she went downstairs and told her mom, I'm going outside. Okay, sweetheart, just be careful, Mama called. And Lily said, don't worry, Mama. I'm going to be safe because I'm going to block out the sun. So she went outside and she twirled around and around and around. But no matter how much she twirled, the sun just kept shining. Then she thought to herself, maybe I need more help. So she invited all of her friends over, and they all wore their sparkliest, shiniest dresses, and they all twirled around and around and around. But still, the sun just kept shining. Then Lily had an idea. She said, let's go ask Gerald for help. So all of the girls grabbed their kites, and off they went up, up, up into the sky. They found Gerald sitting on top of his wall of teacups, and he looked very sad. Hello, Gerald, said Lily. We're going to block out the sun. Will you help us? And Gerald shook his head. No, I can't help you. You see, the thing is, I used to love the sun, but now I'm too scared to let it shine on me. And then Lily said, why are you scared? And Gerald said, well, when the sun shines on me, I start to melt. I mean, look at this sweater. See how big it is? Well, when the sun shines on me, it makes me smaller and smaller and smaller. And then I disappear altogether. And then all of these forgotten things, they fall down, and then nobody remembers them. And then I'm all alone again. And then Lily had an idea. She said, well, we're going to build a bigger wall. And then the two of them started stacking teacups together. But they weren't making a wall. They were making a dome. And when they finished, it was so beautiful. The sun shone through the tops of the teacups and made rainbows all over the inside. And then Lily and all of her friends played hide and seek while the sun shone through the teacups, and Gerald laughed for the first time in a long time, and he thought to himself, "This is the best day ever. Finally, someone wants to share the sky with me." And then he realized something else. When he played with Lily and all of her friends, he didn't feel so lonely anymore, and he didn't even care if the sun made him smaller and smaller and smaller, because when the sun shines on you and you have someone to share it with, even the smallest heart can. Thank you for coming along with us on this adventure. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Good night, little one.